Well, as we conclude here on Monday, I just want to remind you, and we'll have talked about this in class, but we will not have a lesson video on, or videos plural, on Wednesday. However, we will be in class for most of the Zoom session. So plan on that. Again, you don't have to do anything necessarily in prep for that. However, I do want you to make sure that you schedule or are planning out so that you'll be ready for that whole window of time. All right. So here we go. Starting off with Leonardo da Vinci, we'll talk about him, Michelangelo, and then Raphael. Those will be our three that we'll cover as we wrap up today. But as we think about the life of Leonardo da Vinci, he had been invited to Milan to now work there. And when he's there, he is going to paint one of the most famous pieces known as the Last Supper. It's amazing. This was going to be under heavy bombardment during World War II, and it's pretty incredible that it survived even during that window of time. But the Last Supper was going to be painted in Milan. However, there was going to be a hope for a commission for him to be able to do more work for the Pope. And at that point, he says, you know what? Italy is not the place for me. I'm not going to stay here hoping that the Pope will notice me, will kind of invite me to do more work for him. As a result, he leaves Italy and is going to move to France for the rest of his life. When he's there, he is going to start studying the human body and being able to say, you know what makes this thing that we live in work? He's very interested in that. In fact, he starts looking at corpses and is actually going to diagram many different muscles and bones in ways that even the current doctors and other scientists weren't even aware of. A lot of people look down on this because, probably rightly so, they accused him of grave robbery to do his scientific research. They accused him of all kinds of like black art. But at the end of the day, he was basically consumed with wanting to know more. Even down to the point in some of these sketchbooks, he starts putting together things that aren't going to be seen, some of them for some hundreds of years. He is going to lay out flying machines. Again, the modern day helicopter looks similar to some of the things that he laid out. Submarines, tanks, things that again will not be conceived of, at least in operable ways, for 100, 200, 300 years or more. Incredible to think of a guy who is that far ahead of even where science and technology will go. Leonardo da Vinci, Renaissance man, if there ever was one. Pretty incredible to think about the work that he did. Well, another guy is going to be Michelangelo. As we think about the work that he did, this guy, unlike some of the others, was going to be pretty stalwart in his Christian faith. Now, you'll still see some elements of humanism, some things that seem to be puffed up within his work, but it seems that he was one that was going to be pretty focused on serving the church and the Lord throughout his career. He was given a commission, unlike Da Vinci, to come and paint the Sistine Chapel within the Vatican. It had before this, as some of you will read tomorrow or on Wednesday or tomorrow, depending on when you listen to this, it had been covered in stars. But now, as we think about actually, that's going to be, I'm getting ahead of myself. That's going to be for our next guy, Raphael. But he is going to be painting the Sistine Chapel. He is going to be up on scaffolding for 3 years. Now, some people picture this image of Michelangelo laying on his back, painting above. It's not that, but he still is standing and painting above him. And if you've ever tried to do any painting above your head, it is exhausting, of your arm, of your neck. As you think about that, it is going to be a physical toll. But at the end of it, you're going to see this masterpiece known today as the Sistine Chapel. And more specifically, we'll be looking on Wednesday at a pane or a piece of that called the Creation of Adam. Initially, there wasn't going to be a lot of support for it. People felt like maybe certain things were depicted incorrectly or whatever, but especially over the time that has transpired since then, it's pretty amazing to think about the work and the craftsmanship that Michelangelo put into that. It's amazing to think about the Sistine Chapel. Finally, you're going to see Raphael. As you think about his work, he's going to be brought in to paint at the age of 25 the Pope's personal library. Here, like I said, there had been some stars that had preceded his work, but he is going to paint over those and depict four distinct areas, four things that were going to be really important. Philosophy, and that's the one we'll be looking at within our coverage of different art on Wednesday, because you'll see some of the Greek masters that we have covered even this year. You'll see theology, you'll see art, you'll see law. Each one of those four is going to have its own separate painting, but those are all going to be within the Pope's library. Like I said, probably the most famous of these four is going to be called the School of Athens. You'll see that a little bit more in detail come Wednesday, but these are going to be some of the significant things that Raphael will put together for the Pope. Well, here's kind of a preview of what I'm going to be asking each of you to do come Wednesday. I will give you a PDF that will have it'll have a collection of 6 pieces of art, but you're going to become an expert on one of them. I'll give these instructions again on Wednesday, but you're going to pull these 5 pieces of information from your piece of art. Within the PDF, all these things will be there. The title of the piece, who did it, roughly when was it done, where was it done, and then a little bit about the background of that piece. So you'll become an expert on one of the 6, and then you'll be sharing that with 5 other people, being able to say, this is what I found about this particular piece of art. I'm looking forward to it. It's one of the things, especially about the Renaissance, that I enjoy going through these incredible pieces of art done by these masters, and you getting to be a little bit more aware of them. Looking forward to that for Wednesday. Have a great afternoon. Hope that you guys are able to persist and persevere, and I'll look forward to seeing you midweek. Take care.